Sit back and throw one back with your pinkies in the air and a middle finger to the world. And join me, the eclectic gentleman Stephen Watts, as we look back on this day in professional wrestling history. But before we do, put that drink down, like, share, and subscribe, and give us a big old thumbs up. And now, without further ado, let's look back on this day in pro wrestling history. It is January 26th, and we're going to start off as we always do on a positive note. These are your pro wrestling birthdays. 1929, the legend himself, Gordon Solie. 1935, baseball star and funny man, Bob Uecker. 1957, Randy Brewer. 1960, Road Warrior Animal. 1969, Rene Rosé. 1970, Dan Bobish. 1973, The Maestro. 1978, Ivan Rudan. 1979, Alex Extreme. 1981, Valdor Jr. 1986, Taylor Wilde. 1987, Japanese superstar Evil. And 1992, the boss herself, Sasha Banks. Of course, on the flip side of that coin, your pro wrestling deaths. 2011, Sean Osborne. 1979, Seiji Sagagachi defeats Johnny Powers in Yokohama, Japan, to win the NWF North American Heavyweight title. 1980, Mr. Fuji defeats Invader 1 to win the WWC North American Heavyweight title. 1985, WWF run 3 separate house shows in one night, which wasn't unusual for that period in the business. What was unusual was that WWF World Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan didn't headline or even appear on any of the shows. One event in Vancouver, British Columbia was headlined by Andre the Giant and Blackjack Mulligan versus Big John Studd and Ken Patera. A second event in Cincinnati, Ohio was headlined by Junkyard Dog and Ivan Putski defeating Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. And the third event in Canton, Ohio was headlined by Tito Santana defeating Intercontinental Champion Greg Valentine by countout. 1987. At a WWF television taping in Tampa, Florida at the Sundome, the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart, defeat the British Bulldogs, the Dynamite Kid, and Davey Boy Smith to win the WWF World Tag Team Championships. Manager Jimmy Hart knocked out Dynamite, who was injured and couldn't wrestle, with his megaphone before the match, and a heel referee, Danny Davis, paid no attention to the Hart Foundation, illegally double-teaming Smith before counting the pinfall following a heart attack finisher. This ended the Bulldogs' only WWF World Tag Team title run, and was Bret Hart's first ever WWF Championship of any kind. During these same tapings, 3 editions of Piper's Pit were taped. In the first, Andre the Giant turned heel, revealing Bobby Heenan to be his new manager, and challenging Hulk Hogan to a title match, tearing off Hogan's shirt and crucifix. In the second edition, Hogan accepted Andre's challenge, setting up the main event at the legendary WrestleMania 3. In the third edition, Roddy Piper revealed that he would be retiring following his match with Adrian Adonis at WrestleMania 3. Now that is one night of legendary tapings. 1996, Conan defeated Piroth Jr. to become the first international wrestling all-star World Heavyweight Champion. He would also be the last champion, as the title was later abandoned. 1996, Steve Austin makes his Madison Square Garden debut, defeating Henry Godwinn. 1999, prior to an edition of Raw in Tucson, Arizona, the WWF filmed an empty arena match, in which Mankind pinned The Rock to win the WWF Heavyweight title. The match was aired on January 31st at the Halftime Heat special during the Super Bowl. Those are your pro wrestling history highlights for January 26th. I'm the eclectic gentleman Stephen Watts, and we'll see you tomorrow.